Freeman hosts their 14th annual 5K and walk for autism awareness. I'm Bronte Sorotsky with the impact this has for families of those with autism.
A big buzzword at the White House right now is investment. It translates to trillions of dollars in proposed new spending. I'm Mike Emanuel at the White House. I'll have that story coming up.
Meteorologist Nick Kelly has your weather. Danny Terzer's on sports. I'm Mike Mahoney, and this is your KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
We begin the evening with somber news. 4 people are dead following a Friday night crash in Ottawa County, Oklahoma. Officials with the Oklahoma Highway Patrol say 2 cars collided along US 69 near 630 Road just north of Quapaw. One of the cars was driven by 28-year-old Caitlin Kibble from Quapaw. She was pronounced dead at the scene, along with 2 of her 5 passengers, a 7-year-old girl from Miami and a 10-year-old boy from Quapaw. 3 other children, ages 3, 7, and 8, were admitted to Freeman Hospital in Joplin in stable condition. The cause of the crash is still under investigation. This crash also has an impact on our KOAM family, as the driver of the other car, 30-year-old Charlesy Eberly of Miami, was killed in the crash. Charlesy always had a smile on her face and a kind thing to say, and was a real pleasure to work with. She will be deeply missed by those who knew her. Our hearts go out to all the families impacted by this crash. All right, time for weather. And Nick, of course, I'm sorry to just toss it over to you after such a tragic loss. I know you knew Charlesy, or worked with her, I should say, from your time filling in on the morning show.
Yeah, anytime Slip was out, I stepped in for him, and Charlesy had a big hand in making sure our new news was ready to go and as best as it could be. And knowing my faith, Mike, I know she's upstairs watching over us, and I think she had a hand in improving our weather, especially since we started the weekend now. We had to start out with clouds and rain this morning, but we thankfully saw mostly sunny skies return with highs near 67 after we started kind of chilly at 53 this morning. Not picking up a thing on the radar network. We're looking at a completely dry scan all across the region on the backside of our last storm system. It wasn't too long ago we got the last of the clouds out of here, but any moisture still on the ground with temperatures near the dew point tonight and a light south breeze of 5 to 10. That could allow for some patchy fog to develop overnight and especially by sunrise. Otherwise, we're all off to a cool start. Most of us in the mid-40s, but we'll end the weekend on a nice note, Mike, with highs near 74, mostly sunny skies. But I am tracking our next storm system as well. We'll break down what else lies ahead for the week here in just a bit.
Thanks so much, Nick. This morning, Freeman Hospital held its 14th annual 5K and walk for autism awareness, which supports 4 state families tackling the issue. KOAM's Bronte Sorotsky spoke with participants and organizers about why this event is so important.
Despite the rain, people of all ages lined up to run and walk a 5K to support the Bill and Virginia Leffen Center for Autism. Edith Spera, clinical director for the Leffen Center, says she's excited about turnout after last year's virtual race.
We have record attendance this year. We have over 700 people that have registered. We have record fundraising numbers. We're really excited about the turnout despite the rain.
The event raises money for the center's program development and scholarship fund.
It's so impactful because it helps our families be able to support life-changing services that they might not otherwise be able to afford. We do applied behavior analysis here at the Leffen Center. We work on skills to help kids with socialization, communication. We reduce challenging behaviors. We help with preparing a lot of our kids to be able to enter the school districts.
For some running in the race, they had a more personal reason to motivate them. One runner, Randy Cummings, came out to support loved ones with autism.
I have a granddaughter that has autism, and so for the support of autism and what it goes for, I just want to do the best I can to try to help out. So that's why I come out today to run for my granddaughter. And then I have a niece that has 2 children, and both of them have autism.
Although he's an avid runner, Cummings says today was about support for this cause.
It's just a privilege to come out and have fun and run for the autism and support him the best way that we can.
In Joplin, Bronte Sorotsky, KOAM News.
Creative Kansas in Pittsburgh hosted a paint and sip event benefiting a local donkey rescue at the 5th Street Bar and Grill this evening. T&D Donkey Rescue is a nonprofit helping out neglected and abused donkeys in the 4-state area. The painting event was $45 for admission, and all the proceeds went to the rescue and raised funds for Donkey Essentials.
Going to be doing, obviously, the painting. We're going to be painting a barn with some sunflowers and stuff. And then we have a 50-50 raffle. We have a lot of silent auction items. We have door prizes. So, and obviously a lot of great people, a lot of fun.
The money made from admission will also go towards donkey medical care and other needs. President Biden has a lot of big proposals that will undoubtedly call for trillions of dollars in spending, and that's led to some heated debates about how everything will be paid for. Fox News' Mike Emanuel takes a closer look.
When we invest in climate resilience and infrastructure, we create opportunities for everyone. That's the heart of my jobs plan that I proposed here in the United States.
The president's $2.3 trillion tax and spending plan is still being argued over on Capitol Hill. Phase 2 is on the way, with a potential price tag of another $1.5 trillion for what the White House is calling its American Families Plan, to be laid out at next Wednesday's joint session of Congress. There is pressure from the left, with progressive lawmakers calling on the administration to spend at least $700 billion on universal child care. Quote, "We believe this is a generational opportunity to invest in affordable, quality care for all children who need it, and we urge you not to let it go to waste." One potential way to pay for the massive spending plan is raising taxes on higher income earners, and Republicans are concerned.
If they want to do home health aides and expand Medicaid and raise your taxes and all the things that the president wants to do, if they want to do that with a 50-vote threshold in reconciliation, they can do that. I can't stop that.
The Tax Foundation notes under the president's proposal, 15 states and the District of Columbia would have a top combined capital gains tax rate above 50%, with California, New York, and New Jersey more than 54%.
He has some lines in the sand we've talked about, including not having the American people pay for it, or not being on the backs of the American people. It relates to the capital gains rates and the top margins that you've seen reported out there.
After a White House Zoom climate summit with world leaders such as Russia and China, Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell says the multiple trillions in spending, including the White House climate plan, would hurt GDP, investment, and wages.
It almost takes talent to craft something that completely disastrous. So this is quite a 1-2 punch. Toothless requests of our foreign adversaries and maximum pain for American citizens.
On negative reaction from Wall Street to the proposed tax hikes, Psaki wouldn't engage.
I've been doing this long enough not to comment on movements in the stock market, but I did see just data factually that it went back up this morning.
Many details of the president's climate and next spending proposal are not yet public, aides wanting to allow the president to make a big splash during his primetime address next week. At the White House, Mike Emanuel, Fox News.
It's now time to honor one of our many four-state heroes. Tonight, we recognize Orville Eldridge of Baxter Springs, Kansas. Orville served as a staff sergeant in the Marines and fought in World War II, earning a sharpshooter medal. Thank you, sir, for your service and your courage and for fighting for freedom. For more information on all our four-state heroes, or to nominate your own, just log on to KOAMNewsNow.com. We'll be right back with meteorologist Nick Kelly and another look at your weather. Plus, you'll learn about this Texas twister near the Oklahoma border that happened last night, and it wasn't the only one that hit that Texas town. Details are coming up right after weather.
On the heels of our storm system that gave us clouds, rain, and some pretty decent thunderstorms with heavy rainfall last night, we just had to deal with lingering showers this morning. Then Mother Nature brightened things up considerably, with skies turning mostly sunny right up until sunset over indigo sky just outside of Seneca, Missouri, and in fact all across the area. So it was nice to see the sunshine and the blue skies back in action after we again had scattered rain add up in some areas to get this weekend started. The average area wide 0.6 of an inch. Needless to say, some of you were lucky if you got anything out of this, but other spots we had a good corridor along I-44 of about 1/2 inch to an inch, and the same goes for areas north of Fort Scott and Nevada. Those are going to be the likely spots where we could see some patchy fog develop first as we go throughout the night, even though I'm not seeing anything else on the radar network right now. So we don't have anything to worry about tonight other than the patchy fog for some of you and everyone dropping back into the mid-40s. Thankfully, a mild, nice Sunday lineup with a warm Monday to follow suit. before we see our next storm system, sticking with Doug's pattern, start to sneak in late Tuesday, and then we'll try to hold on as we go through the middle of the week ahead of us. We'll time that out as we roll along, but for now, looking nice in Joplin. Chilly, sure, 55, but mostly clear skies up top and a calm breeze. That's better than how we started the day out. Most of us in the Joplin metro between 55 and 57 degrees, and the wider view shows everybody pretty much in the mid to upper 50s at the top of the 9 o'clock hour. Earlier today, we did have a north breeze at about 5 to 15 with gusts pushing near 20 at times. Look at what's happening, though, as we go through the course of the evening so far. We're starting to see a more southerly and southeasterly breeze sneak in from the west. That's a southerly breeze, a milder breeze. That's really going to help us out for tomorrow. Before we warm up, we'll drop back into the mid-40s, then mild and nice for the afternoon tomorrow, with highs back near 74. Let me take you back to the mass. Let me show you where our last storm system is now. It's prompting severe weather across southern parts of, let's say, South Carolina, Georgia, and even parts of Alabama, maybe northern parts of Florida too. But that system continues to chug away toward the east. Before we see our next cold front roll in, we have high pressure keeping us nice and quiet for tomorrow. And we'll see that next cold front roll our way as this next upper low in the Pacific Northwest finally decides to work over land. In the meantime, though, that next storm system, it is not coming in tonight, so we are keeping things pretty quiet. Again, can't rule out some patchy fog under otherwise mostly clear skies, but everybody starts cool. Lows drop back to about 45 with a light south breeze in the morning. Then that breeze cranks into gear at 10 to 20, gusts are 25. That will push us to 67 by noon. And afternoon highs, not bad. Everybody back around 74 tomorrow. The jet stream setup here keeps us mild and nice for Sunday and warm for Monday. Even with partly sunny skies, we'll be back in the lower 80s. Then we'll see our next front and next storm system out west encourage some scattered storms to develop. Some of those could be strong to severe, something we need to keep an eye on. We'll watch for continued rain and storm chances on Wednesday and possibly on Thursday before we finally see that system start to move on. 74 tomorrow, 81 on your Monday, 79 Tuesday, a quick detour into the upper 60s Wednesday and Thursday, Mike, but thankfully that detour is short-lived. We'll be back in the lower 70s before you know it as next weekend gets underway.
All right, thanks so much, Nick. And Nick, things sure are nice here compared to our neighbors in Oklahoma and Texas. Well, the other side of Oklahoma. Severe weather in the southwest produced some northern Texas tornadoes. This twister was spotted by storm chasers near Lockett Friday evening, close to the borders with Oklahoma. The tornado appeared to be in an isolated area, but local news reports say another tornado also touched down in Lockett about 17 minutes after the first one. Fortunately, there are no immediate reports of injuries, and as of now, no word if there was any significant property damage. Still to come, Congress has some tough questions for some of the biggest tech companies out there. They're scrutinizing the major players over how their market dominance is affecting the competition. That story and more are next. Congress is taking a closer look at big tech as lawmakers scrutinize major corporations over how their market dominance is affecting other companies. Fox News' Jackie Heinrich takes a look.
This past week, Silicon Valley tech giants faced questions from the Senate Judiciary Subcommittee after the House Committee approved its tech antitrust report. It summed up a year-long investigation into Google, Amazon, Facebook, and Apple and their alleged abuses of market power. Those movements are setting the stage for Congress to take action. Lawmakers want to tackle a number of issues, including creating barriers for dominant companies with a penchant for scooping up the competition, repealing or reforming Section 230, the law shielding internet companies from legal liability over content their users post, as well as content moderation, including measures to protect children. This hearing focused on the gatekeeping power these companies have over app stores and web hosting, effectively putting them in control of any app's success or failure.
Just because a company creates a successful, innovative business that consumers like doesn't give it a free pass to harm competition or ignore our antitrust laws.
Apple allowed Parler back into the App Store this past week after it was pulled amid criticism over its content moderation policies and user posts about the Capitol Hill insurrection. But Parler has not been restored to the Google or Amazon stores. Former President Trump last night added to calls for big tech to face antitrust scrutiny as he considers starting his own social media company.
I'm looking at it. We're looking at different platforms. We have a lot of people that want to come on existing platforms. They have to be strong. They can't be dominated by Amazon and by Google and people that can take them off the air right away. And you do need antitrust. You have to do something about it.
A big priority for Republican lawmakers is passing legislation that would address instances of bias against conservative voices. In Washington, Jackie Heinrich, Fox News.
The Biden administration is allowing the return of pride flags to U.S. embassies. An internal State Department cable sent to U.S. missions says U.S. embassies can again allow for the LGBTQ+ flag to fly on flagpoles along the stars and stripes. The policy announcement by the Secretary of State reverses a ban from the Trump administration. The flag can be displayed before May 17th, the International Day Against Homophobia and Transphobia, and fly through the end of June in honor of Pride Month. The new policy is an allowance and not a requirement, and embassies can determine the appropriateness of flying the flag according to local conditions. When we return, we've got an update from the International Space Station.
A new crew of NASA astronauts arrives at the International Space Station. I'm Christina Coleman with more on the SpaceX flight and why it's making space history.
Welcome back to your News at 9. There are some new faces aboard the International Space Station. 4 astronauts representing 3 different countries landed safely today, roughly 1 day after liftoff from Cape Canaveral. Fox News' Christina Coleman explains how this flight is marking a few firsts for NASA and the SpaceX collaboration.
Hugs and smiles all around the International Space Station Saturday as a new team of astronauts arrives for a 6-month stay.
We're so excited to be here. We're ready to get to work. There's a lot of great science that I know we're going to be doing, and we're just excited to learn and get started.
The 4 crew members from the U.S., Japan, and France were launched into space early Friday morning from the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. The roughly 24-hour trip went smoothly for the most part, but there was a brief moment of concern as the astronauts were getting ready for bed. Ground control alerted them to a potential collision with a piece of space debris.
We believe the object is farther away than anticipated, lower risk of possible conjunction, but please ensure visors are closed and zippers are closed prior to TCA in approximately 20 seconds.
The crew was told to put on their pressure suits, lower their protective visors, and brace for impact. Luckily, the debris passed without incident.
At this time, we can go to proceed to deconfigure from suited configuration.
The mission is making history on a number of fronts. It's the first time SpaceX has recycled a capsule and rocket from a previous flight to launch astronauts for NASA.
If you have rapid and complete reusability, then that opens up, that is the gateway to the heavens.
And it's the first time since the space shuttle era 11 people have been aboard the space station at one time, but it won't be that crowded for too long. The Crew 1 astronauts are expected to return to Earth on Wednesday. Christina Coleman, Fox News.
We'll be right back with more news. With summer approaching, a lot of COVID-weary Americans are focusing on their vacation plans. TripAdvisor says 67% of Americans are planning to travel in June, July, and August. Most of them say they'll be staying in the United States, with only 13% planning to travel internationally. For those vacationing outside the country, the most popular summer destination is Cancun, Mexico. Orlando is the most popular domestic destination. TripAdvisor also says 19% of Americans plan to fly to their vacations, while 43% are planning to drive. You can find me right here, though. All right, well, don't go anywhere. We've got a lot more news headed your way, as well as another weather update with meteorologist Nick Kelly and your KOAM Sports Report with Danny Terzer. That's all coming up right here on your KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. And still to come, a man is shot and killed in Nashville by a police officer after allegedly coming at him with 2 butcher knives. Details are coming up right after the break. An armed man is shot and killed by police in Nashville. Police say they pulled over a car after a license plate check. The passenger in the car then allegedly got out with a butcher knife in each hand. The officer gave commands to drop the knives before the man charged, and the officer opened fire. Police released body cam video of the incident this morning, and the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation will look into what exactly happened. Demonstrators in London held up a giant inflatable syringe as part of an anti-lockdown protest today. Prime Minister Boris Johnson said on Friday that Britain is getting control of the COVID-19 pandemic as case numbers fall and vaccines are rolled out, adding that he would stick to a cautious plan for easing lockdown restrictions. Britain recorded 2,678 new cases of COVID-19 on Friday, a drop on the 2,729 cases recorded the previous day, according to British government data. A Disney hotel is now accepting guests, but instead of providing a Disney-themed vacation, they are providing coronavirus shots. Disneyland Paris has turned the convention center at its Newport Bay Club into a mass COVID-19 vaccination center. People began lining up for their COVID-19 doses today when the doors opened. Local authorities are hoping to administer up to 4,000 shots every day. The Disneyland Paris theme park closed its doors last October due to a spike in the number of coronavirus cases. We'll be right back with meteorologist Nick Kelly and another look at your weather. Don't go anywhere.
After we had to start our weekend out the other day with clouds, rain, and storms because of our last storm system, it was nice to see things improve as we went throughout the course of our Saturday. Granted, at the start of our time lapse from Indigo Sky outside of Seneca, you saw the rain dotting the lens from this morning. Then the system moved on, skies cleared out, and we looked a lot better to wrap up the day, certainly better than how we started the day out. Speaking of that last storm system, the last of the rains from that storm system cleared the Ozarks in southern Missouri, northern Arkansas earlier this afternoon. We've just been left alone with pretty quiet skies ever since that system got the hint and skedaddled. In its wake, though, we did see some accumulating rainfall. Most of us lucky to pick up anything from this, but we did see some of the heavier pockets of rain from Fort Scott, Nevada up north and along the I-44 corridor, ranged between ½ an inch and an inch. And some of that moisture is still on the ground, even though there's nothing out there on the radar network right now. We are set to have temperatures near the dew points tonight and a light breeze out of the south. That's going to allow for some patchy fog to develop overnight, but we're not seeing any of that right now. In fact, we're looking at mostly clear skies in Joplin, 55, with the calm breeze and the humidity starting to perk up at 72%. Most spots around the Joplin metro were either between 55 and 57 all across the board, and everyone else outside of Joplin pretty much in the same ballpark, mid to upper 50s as we get closer to the top of the 10 o'clock hour. We were certainly a bit cooler than normal again today, despite the clearing skies because of that north breeze behind the front at 5 to 15, sometimes gusts near 20. But now we've lightened up on the breeze, and look at that breeze kicking more out of the south across central and western parts of Kansas. That breeze is headed our way for tomorrow, and it's going to make a big difference. After we drop back into the mid-40s for a cool start in the morning, right back to 74 for the afternoon tomorrow. Let's break down the setup to see where things go from here. Our last storm system still spawning some severe weather across southern parts of Georgia, seeing if that can hold together across southern parts of South Carolina. That system continues on toward the east. High pressure keeps us quiet in the short term while we keep an eye on not only our next cold front out in the Rockies, but our next upper low coming out of the Pacific Northwest. Before that comes into play, though, this upper ridge is going to make for pretty nice temperatures, even going back above normal for the next few days. Let's go through tonight first. Again, any moisture still on the ground could result in some patchy fog. Otherwise, we'll just have mostly clear skies and a cool start in the morning as we drop back to about 45. A light breeze to start at 5 to 10 out of the south, kicks into gear at 10 to 20 during the afternoon. And gusts near 25. That'll push us to 67 by noon. I think Joplin tops out at 74, but everyone's fair game to go at least into the mid-70s. Certainly not looking bad for your Sunday. Once we get past the end of our weekend, here's Monday. A little over-ambitious on the cloud cover, but we'll go partly sunny and warm with highs in the lower 80s. Then there's that next system. The cold front comes in first before this upper low really kicks into gear. We'll watch for some strong, possibly severe storms on Tuesday, especially late afternoon and into Tuesday night. Periods of rain and storms Wednesday. Then the system will start to move on and clear things out by the time we head toward Thursday. As far as temperatures go with this system, it doesn't do much for us. 74 tomorrow, 81 on Monday, 79 on Tuesday. This system will encourage just a quick dip into the upper 60s for Wednesday and Thursday, Mike. Thankfully, that's short-lived, and we'll be back in the lower 70s by next weekend.
Hey, no complaints about those temperatures. Thanks so much, Nick Kelly. Stick around, sports fans. You are just 2 minutes away from Danny Terzer and your KOAM News at 9 Sports Report. That's coming up.
Carl Junction baseball is riding the high of a 4-3 walk-off win against the #1 team in the state. Head coach Jake Stevenson says he's hoping his team takes that momentum into the upcoming schedule of games. Today is their first opportunity to do so. The Bulldogs take on the 6-4 Pittsburgh Purple Dragons. In the first, Cole Jamison in the gap. That brings home 2. Next batter, Blaine Dunstan sends it out to left. Tyler Sutton rounds third and heads home. Pittsburgh up by 4 after the first inning. To the second, Jamison again, another RBI for him as Cooper Ratzlaff comes in. CJ now, the wild pitch, gives Dylan Eck time to come home. Pittsburgh will finish this one out, winning 6-4. Rivals Pittsburgh State and Missouri Southern kick off a 3-game weekend series today. The Gorillas are ranked 4th in the MIAA, while the Lions have 3 more conference wins, putting them at number 2. PSU hosts the series in Game 1 of a doubleheader. Aaron Gerds here kills it down the left field line. He goes for 3, and he's safe. Then Garrett McGowan, nice bunt, brings Gerds home. Score is even. The Lions now, Joe Kinder gets a base knock. Tommy Stevenson scores. Missouri Southern quickly takes back the lead, but the Gorillas tie it in the 9th, and after 13 innings, PSU wins 3-2 with a walk-off double by Caleb Carr. Game 2 is a similar story. It's tied up at 3 in the 9th. Brett Daly homers out to left, and the Gorillas win 4-3. PSU sweeps the doubleheader with back-to-back walk-off wins over Missouri Southern. Missouri Southern and Pittsburgh State track and field athletes will be competing today in the final meet before the MIAA Outdoor Championships. In the men's javelin, Brett Thompson already secured an automatic qualifying mark. He wins today with a throw of 232 feet 5 inches. PSU also finishes at the top in the women's long jump, Trace Mosby in 2nd. Then Asia Anderson gets first place with a jump of 19 feet 5 inches. The full results from today's events can be found on the sports page at KOAMNewsNow.com. Missouri Southern football wraps up its first spring under head coach Atiba Bradley this afternoon. The Lions played 1 game this spring, a 21-20 win over Southern Nazarene last month. Today they finish up with their annual green and gold scrimmage. Starting in the 2nd, Dawson Hurl rolls out and airs it out to Reggie Hemphill for the first down. That sets up this. Hurl to Hemphill again. This time it's in the end zone for the opening score. Green leads 7-0. Ensuing possession, Travier Fields Jackson takes it up the gut for the touchdown. Game tied up at 7 at half. To the 3rd, the handoff to Taylor Thomas for the TD. The white team gets the win, 21-7.
I think the number one, their willingness to learn, their willingness to accept coaching has just been tremendous. At no point have we ever had an issue where, guys, maybe disagree with what we're saying, but you can definitely tell they're there absorbing it and they're taking it in. So that's all we can ask at this point.
The Coffeeville men's basketball team earned their spot in the national championship game set for today, following a 66-63 win over Chipola. It's an all-KJCAA national championship as Coffeeville faces Cowley. All Coffeeville in the first half. Markeith Browning slams it home, 33-21 Red Ravens. Then Nebraska signee Blaze Keita pumps and jams it home. Second half, more from the big man, gives the Red Ravens their biggest lead of 24. But Cowley wouldn't fade away. Mounte Edmondson gets it to single digits. 5-point game now late in the shot clock. Browning hits a much-needed shot. Then here's Yaquez Yao, and it's a 1-possession game. Larry White for the Red Ravens at the buzzer with the throwdown. The Red Ravens are your national champions. 108-99, the final from Hutchinson.
It's something that you dream of. I have for a long time. We've had awfully good teams come over here, and you lose, and it may be your fault, maybe because of the other team, but it's so hard to get through this week, and to be able to finally do it.
We'll be right back with more news.
For the first time in its history, the 93rd Academy Awards is being held at Union Station in downtown Los Angeles, and that's an area with a major homelessness problem. But come Oscar Sunday, the homeless will not be seen anywhere near Union Station. Fox News' Gina Silva spoke to one man who says the city has forced homeless people to hit the road shortly before Hollywood's big night.
They were coming harassing us, coming 3 or 4 times a day saying, with posters saying we had to move, you got to move, you got to move, you got to move, you got to move. So we didn't have a choice.
He goes by the name DJ.
My tent was by the pole on the end. that curves right here. And it was filled with people, but now everybody's gone.
He was living on the 101 overpass, 1 block away from Union Station, when suddenly he was told he had to move.
They came to us about a week ago and said that we had to move by Friday, today, 6 p.m., because they were trying to clean it up for the Oscars. And they told us that if we didn't move, they were going to just demolish our stuff. If you have warrants, to take you to jail.
This isn't surprising to you.
No, unfortunately, I was taken aback by the call, but no. We have a history in Los Angeles, and that's what's led to a place called Skid Row. No other city that I know of has a Skid Row like we have, the greatest man-made disaster in the United States.
Andy Bales of Union Rescue Mission says the city of Los Angeles has been trying to hide the homelessness problems for years, dating back to when Pope John Paul II came to Los Angeles in 1987.
You've got the Pope visiting, a man of compassion, and people were rounded up and sent out of town. And you think about that in our past history, and you sure don't want to repeat it.
We contacted City Council member Kevin De Leon. He issued the following statement. Well, the 93rd Academy Awards are being held at Union Station this year, and despite irresponsible rumors, no unhoused residents are being forced to relocate. Since being sworn in, my office has been painstakingly working to house those experiencing homelessness throughout my district, and we were able to offer housing options to unhoused residents in the vicinity of Union Station. But DJ tells it differently.
They forced us to go to the Grand Hotel on 3rd and Figueroa, and they kicked everybody out from around Union Station, so it looks better for the image.
This year's Academy Awards telecast is allowing attendees not to wear masks, but with some significant stipulations due to the telecast setup. Show producers say attendees do not have to wear masks seated in the main showroom and while on camera. They will, however, have to wear masks during commercial breaks, when out of the main showroom, and in one of the 2 adjacent courtyards. The ceremony is presented under the rationale that it's being shot like a movie, and under current production guidelines, masks are not required for people on camera. Attendees will still undergo mandatory testing prior to the show and will be temperature checked upon arrival. A Texas woman discovers she's wanted on felony embezzlement charges for apparently not returning a VHS tape to a video store more than 20 years ago. Fox News' Karen McBride has a chat with her to learn more.
The first thing she told me was felony embezzlement. So I thought I was going to have a heart attack.
It was a moment of disbelief for Karen McBride as she was talking to the Cleveland County District Attorney's Office this week, where she learned she was a wanted felon for never returning Sabrina, the Teenage Witch on VHS 21 years ago. A movie she says she never even rented.
No, actually, I had lived with the young man. This was over 20 years ago. He had 2 kids, daughters that were 8, 10, 11 years old. And I'm thinking he went and got it and didn't take it back or something. I don't know. I have never watched that show in my entire life. Just not my cup of tea.
Online documents show McBride was charged with embezzlement in March of 2000, but never knew about the charges until recently when trying to change her name on her license after getting married.
And they told me that I had an issue in Oklahoma, and this was the reference number for me to call this number, and I did. Meanwhile, I'm a wanted felon for a VHS tape.
Documents show the movie was rented at Movie Place in Norman, Oklahoma. We've since learned that business closed in 2008. Ed Blau with Blau Law Firm told us Tuesday, even though there's technically no victim now in the case, because charges were filed and a warrant was issued against McBride, Cleveland County could still prosecute the case.
I mean, I didn't try to deceive anyone over Samantha Teenage Witch. I swear.
McBride says over the last 20 years, she's been let go from several jobs without giving a reason why, and says now it all makes sense.
This is wise because when they ran my criminal background check, all they're seeing is those 2 words, felony embezzlement.
The Cleveland County District Attorney's Office has since reviewed the case. They have decided to dismiss it, but the case must be expunged in order for McBride to clear her record moving forward. We are not done yet here on your KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. And when we return, you'll learn why some firefighters in California had to be called in to rescue some kittens from a home. That story and more are headed your way in just 2 short minutes. Welcome back to your News at 9. A new British study says human-to-cat transmission of the coronavirus is possible. Researchers at the University of Glasgow Centre for Virus Research in Scotland say they've identified 2 cats which tested positive for the virus. Both cats came from suspected COVID-19 infected households. Scientists say human-to-cat transmission is common, but the variability in cases depends on the proximity of the cat to the human. They also note an animal which is infected isn't necessarily going to require veterinary intervention. For now, scientists also aren't ruling out whether the virus can go from cats to humans. The study was published in the journal Veterinary Record. Lutheran Church Charities Comfort Dogs have been helping communities across the country struck by tragedy for years now. Their latest trip was to Indianapolis following the mass shooting that killed 8 people at a FedEx facility last week. The dog ministry is made up of 130 golden retrievers, and they are stationed in 27 states across the country. Over the years, they have helped provide comfort after tragedies, including the Boston Marathon bombing, the Pulse nightclub shooting, and the Sandy Hook school shooting. In fact, some dogs still remain at Sandy Hook Elementary to this day.
Shootings at Sandy Hook. They ended up leaving 2 dogs there permanently, and they still go to that school every day.
Since being in Indianapolis, the dogs have visited first responders at fire stations, victims and healthcare workers at the hospital, and workers at the coroner's office, as well as vigils for the shooting victims. Firefighters in California rescue a litter of kittens from a home's roof. The homeowners say they heard meowing coming from their attic but couldn't find the animals, so they called in the fire department for help. Crews were able to cut away part of the roof to reach the attic's crawl space, where they found a litter of baby kittens huddled together. The little guys are now being cared for at a nearby animal shelter. Here's a great story to wrap the show on. This eagle cam captures the moment for proud mama eagle, white-tailed eagle Milda, when her second egg of 3 hatches in a nest in Latvia. Milda appears to be standing in the nest and calling out to her new companion male partner Chips as the egg hatches. Chips soon shows up to help with the chore of incubation as well as warming the other baby eagles. Milda's original partner Ramus flew the coop after Milda laid her eggs and left her in a dangerous spot where she had to fend off other eagles while struggling for food. Fortunately, chivalry isn't dead in the Latvian eagle community, and Chips is now the new Papa Bird. You know, I'm glad that story had a happy ending, but I'm still really disappointed in Ramus, the deadbeat dad eagle. Shame on you, Ramus. You're not a real man. All right, well, hey, thanks so much for wrapping up your Saturday evening with us. We'll see you tomorrow for more KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. Have a great night. Stay safe out there.